Hello there and welcome. We are live on YouTube. My name is Rich Lieberman and it is Monday. It is May 20th and I'm happy to be with you. Boy, we had such a huge response to my rant, but it was based on, a good amount of passion and, in my opinion, logic. But you all seem, or most of you all seem to agree with me. And this was in regards to my feelings, and they were emphatic to the point of the Oakland A's cable broadcaster, Jenny Kavnar. I displayed my utter lack of feelings and, shall we say, um, goodness about her. Again, as I keep repeating, said so on Sunday. I'm sure she's a very nice person. I shouldn't say I'm sure. I would imagine she's nice. She sounds nice. She's just not ready for that gig. And as insignificant as that gig is in terms of the fact that the franchise is a house of ill repute as far as baseball, Major League Baseball, she is not qualified. We all agree on that pretty much. And I said as much on Sunday. And I thought more about this today, which is our Monday. And one of the reasons why you guys come here is I give you a sense of the inside dope and, what is germane, some news, opinion, which you seem to gravitate towards. Today, I'm going to talk about various people who I would regard as major schmucks, A-list jerks. People, some of them are arrogant. Well, mostly they're all arrogant, who think what doesn't stink. And the fact that they portray themselves in one way, yet they're very, very, very much the opposite in the real way. There's a lot of them, but I figured today we'll start small. And I mentioned Papa and Lund, Greg Papa and John Lund, FP Santangelo, and Larry Beil. Larry Beil, the occasional news anchor at Channel 7, ABC 7, KGO, sports anchor. And then Greg Papa, John Lund, the talk hosts, sports talk on KNBR. And then there's the real winner in the clubhouse, but they're all pretty much schmucks. We'll get to that in a second here. But FP Santangelo, just complete and utter nebbish schmuck, putz, moron. You can put in all of your various characters. Let's start with Greg Papa and John Lund. Greg Papa is the radio play-by-play guy for the 49ers, also does a talk show with John Lund, who I've described as an imbecile, a complete nothing, a person who gets around, gets jobs based on the fact that he cozies up to program directors. He is a body, not very smart, and kisses a lot of ass, namely, in this instance, Greg Papa, who he giggles and says, "You're right, sir." It's kind of like Ed McMahon. Remember the big Ed McMahon? Remember Phil Hartman used to do the thing on Saturday Night Live, which was hysterical. Can't believe we lost Phil Hartman in such a tragic way. To Dana Carvey's Johnny Carson, "You are correct, sir. Yes, yes, yes." He mocked the fact that he kissed Johnny Carson's ass, but at least they were mega talented and historic and worldly. John Lund, who is the other half of Papa and Lund on KNBR from 10 to 2, is just an ass kisser, not a very smart guy, mean for whatever reason nobody knows, and thinks he's just a bowl of fruit, when in fact he's a bowl of Jell-O, if there was any kind of fruit. And I don't think Jell-O has fruit in it unless you tossed it in. But he's a schmuck and a putz and dumb and idiotic, and he kisses and giggles He giggles to everything Greg Papa says. And Papa, for some strange reason, says John on his KNBR show every moment he can. John. Who is Papa talking to? Is he talking to his audience? No. Is he talking to his partner, John? Apparently, Papa thinks saying John every 5 seconds is in some way some kind of acquiescence to this imbecile John Lund, who has, I call him the radio gypsy. He's worked everywhere: Washington, Detroit, Utah, Phoenix, all over. It's not stability because he's one of these guys that just drags along, and they need him because he's a body. Why Papa defers to this A-grade schmuck is anybody's guess. And Papa himself used to know him a little bit, not a lot. He's a cold-hearted person. Forget for the fact that as a play-by-play guy for the 49ers, I never liked him. I don't like the touchdown call. I don't like the fact that in the chair that used to befit Lon Simmons and Don Klein, that we have to gravitate to this schmuck. But I already talked about that. I'm talking now more in his KNBR gig, Papa. He's arrogant. He's mean. He treats everybody, especially his underlings, with a great degree of it's classic. I'm who I am, and you are who you are. He comes across as this jovial, funny, ebullient kind of a guy on the radio. He's clearly not, folks. He's not. He's lucky he's got a job as the 49ers play-by-play guy. He was brought on because his boss, the head of the broadcast hierarchy at the 49ers, thought he's everything and anything and brought him aboard. The same guy who fired Ted Robinson, who was one of the classic, pristine broadcasters. But this guy who works for the 49ers thought Greg Papa was just a day at the beach times 10. But we'll leave that aside. That's just basically an opinion. And that's somebody who thinks Greg Papa is everything, and he's clearly not. You all folks have sent me email after email and comments here. Why does this guy, how could he have filled in and taken Ted Robinson's gig? That's another story. Papa's arrogance and his weirdness, frankly, with his bizarre giggles and his bizarre want to label everybody with a nickname, and it's just out of the blue. Calls Ron Wotus Wody, referred to Andrew Baggerly today, again, as Bags. Susan Slusser, the Chronicle beat writer for the Giants, as Suze. Referred to Alex Pavlovich at NBC Sports Bay Area as Pavs or Pavy, Wody. It is, folks, it's being called those names. You can't call anybody by their real names. Kobe Copes, it's part of the KNBR syndrome, but Papa emulates it. And it's just out of the blue. His weird analogies, his want to label every date and time with, Thanksgiving Day night or Halloween night or weird stuff from 1977. And it's just on and on and on. But again, we'll put all of that aside. Those are personal things, but they reflect themselves on the radio. But he's a schmuck. He's mean. He puts off all these opinions and all that with these weird, again, nicknames. Can't call anybody by their name. He has to call them by their nickname. The most irritating one is the Suze for Susan Slusser, who has mentioned many, many a times she doesn't want to be called Suze. But yet Papa continues to do that. Why? Because he's arrogant. I'm not going to comment about his present domestic situation. I'll leave that aside to you folks. But he's mean, he's arrogant, and he works with another schmuck named John Lund. Want to know why his ratings suck? Yeah, KBR had a modest bump in their ratings. Not so at 10-2. So we have that. We have Larry Beil, who is an arrogant, angry, makes fun, tried to take Mark Ibanez's job years ago at Channel 2. Go right underneath him to grab Mark Ibanez's job, which the then GM, Kevin O'Brien, said, "Have a nice day, sir. Not interested." Yeah, Larry Beil is one of these people who thinks he's Walter Cronkite, has that kind of look, and he talks like this. And, he thinks because he has that kind of a voice, he's not a good guy. He's an angry, illusionary putz, a schmuck. Ask the people at Channel 7. And then finally, we have the award winner, FP Santangelo, who's not only an asshole, who not only is pretentious and has quite a history. If you Google the name FP Santangelo, fired Washington Nationals, I'm not going to get into all of that stuff. Let's just say, take a look. And yet somehow the Giants hired this guy. He was fired by KBR because he made what they constituted a lot of money. He's one of the worst color analysts. Okay. If he had some semblance of a sense of humor, his sense of humor is consistent with all of his other weird things. He's a bizarre guy, angry, mean. Talk about treating underlings poorly. But he's not very funny, and he can't stop talking. He yaps and yaps and yaps. And I guess apparently Larry Bear thought so highly of him that he did, this D-lister. So, Giants fans, congratulations. You had multiple times to listen to FP Santangelo, who is an A-grade schmuck. Not very funny, not very revealing, not very illusionary. He's lousy. And yet the Giants hired him, even in a fill-in capacity on their D list with, that wonderful guy, who may be a nice guy, by the way, this Joe Rizzo, who likes to talk like this. Geez, I wonder who he's trying to speak as. But maybe Rizzo's a nice guy. I don't know much about him. I only know him based on what he sounds like on the radio. Personally, I have no deal. Maybe one of the greatest guys, whatever. I'm talking about FP Santangelo and what an A-grade schmuck he is. So we'll leave it at that. I'm sure you guys out there have a whole bunch of schmucks that you'd like to nominate. And please bring it on. Keep it clean. Try to be civil. Or I don't know. We'll see. I thought I'd give you a little taste of just a partial list. We'll get more and more into the weeds on things like this later on. Okay? Thanks.